live, Twitter, here we are. I'm going live on Twitter to talk about a new initiative that we planned on releasing after the new year in January 2018 because we're still working out the details. But here's the problem. The people working on the initiative want to work through their Christmas break. That's right. It's Christmas break time for kids in school. This is an initiative called Future Neighbors. I didn't start this initiative. I think I inspired it. I did inspire it. Some young people, my son's best friend, not my son, he's not really that involved in my campaign. My son's 17, his friend's 15. We're looking around that age group. My son's going to be old enough to vote for me, which he will be, in 2018. He can also primary because he will be of age by then. This initiative is a group of young kids who, like one on my campaign already, has been on my campaign, one of the first members of my campaign, Corey Miller, who's not going to be old enough to vote for me in 2018. That's always been somewhat of an inspiration to me, to have people that know that they're coming up on that responsibility and are already getting a jump start. And it amazed me. Well, turns out my son's friend had Cole Casey. Corey's the other kid. Cody's the other kid. I got a lot of things, there's a lot of kids that get mixed up in my head here. You never, like, I only have one kid, so I never run into the problem of Jeff, Joe, George, Frank, Sal, Johnny, get in here. My grandpa was like that. He had 6 kids. You know what I'm talking about. Well, Cole and some friends of his at school started a project, and, I'm still fuzzy on the details. That's what I mean, why I didn't want to announce until after January, but I'll explain why I'm doing the video here in a few minutes. So they started working on this project, and it started blossoming into a different idea, and what they started doing, Cole wanted to help out my campaign, and so he originally started thinking about going out and just campaigning and door to door and talking about, like canvassing. Well, it's turned into something else, and it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's one of the best ideas I could have ever heard of, and I didn't come up with it. These kids did. Future Neighbors is an initiative to go around neighborhoods, door to door, asking people if they need help. Help around the house, help with something, whatever they may need help with. So these young individuals are just going around asking if they need help. Now imagine this. Some young people you don't know knock on your door and they say, do you need help with something? What do you mean? Well, with anything. Well, why are you doing this? They're doing it because they want to see a brighter future for themselves. They've been talking about things in class and other places about how the sense of neighborhood, community, neighborhoods taking care of each other is gone, or it's not what it used to be. And the idea of helping your neighbor. If we all helped our neighbor, then our neighbors, we'd all be doing good. It goes back to Paul Wellstone's, if we all do better when we all do better. So I guess it's kind of a virtuous, principled, and moral attempt at getting your foot in the door for political discussion. And it's genius. They say, how can we help you out? Maybe they need some lawn work done, maybe, who knows? The possibilities are endless. And of course, let's not panic over safety issues and things like that, because that's already, been taken into consideration by the school. And it's a school project that's now blossomed into more. So it's kind of like, if you remember the movie, Pay It Forward. Everybody should, they do. If you're too young, Netflix it. A young man starts a project in school where he pays it forward. He does something nice for somebody, and the rule is, if I do something nice for you, you have to do something nice for 3 other people. And then they make their list, and then each person they do something for has to do something nice for 3 other people. That's the gig. That's the Pay It Forward. and it blossomed into this big, huge thing in the movie, and you know, it was very inspirational. Well, that's kind of what this is. It's getting out there and engaging the community right away, saying, hey, listen, I don't feel my future looks very bright. I'm paraphrasing, of course, for the kids. I'm sure they have their own spiel, and they're working on that. But they say, you know, the concept is, the philosophy is, we see things in our future that we're not happy about, and we want to see that change. Now, we're not old enough to vote, but we want to lobby you. We want to talk to you about the issues that we're concerned about, because your vote is going to affect our future. How can you turn kids away that are doing that? You can't. They're asking you to listen to them, and they're willing to put a little elbow grease in and help you out in return just to hear them out. And I'm really impressed with a lot of the issues that they're concerned about. It's not simple stuff. They know, these 13, 14, 15-year-olds know that the job market for them when they get out of college, if they go to college, or if they even just get out of trade school, is going to be very slim. It's not just about, I want. Now, the amazing thing is, for me, is that they were doing this for the campaign. He wanted to do it to help the campaign. He goes, I want to get you elected. Well, while I have always appreciate that, most people will tell you that it's not ever about me. So I immediately looked at how we can make this into something more. And that's where the birth of Future Neighbors came from. This is going to be a nationwide movement. We're already putting together the work to start chapters and the infrastructure, the Constitution, all the things you need to do in order to have a nonprofit. That's how far we're going to go with this. And for right now, of course, we're working through our campaign, but that's the vision that the kids have. And I'm encouraging them to find other candidates to work with. Now, here's where this video comes in, and where what I'm going to be doing over the weekend. They want money. They don't want money. They need money. They are going door to door. They're doing this. It's cold outside. It's Minnesota. They're going to need hot cocoa and pizzas. They also want flyers and t-shirts made up. They want to meet with me and talk about, work out their initiative, their voice. And right now it's going to be a subcommittee of our campaign. All of these youths, through of course their parental guardianship, their guardians' consent, have positions, have membership entitlement in the campaign. I mean, if they're putting the work in, they got a voice. So this subcommittee, however many kids, and what's amazing is we're already starting to plan out speaking arrangements at other schools, especially middle schools, because this is geared for the youth that aren't ready, they're not going to vote yet. They can't vote in this election. What do they get to do? What do they get to say? How do they get involved, and where does their voice come from? And we're going to turn this into a powerhouse for youth that may eventually end up giving endorsements or having elected officials seeking their support. Wouldn't that be awesome? They've got their own ideas. They want to go get cameras and do a live shoot helping Channel 1 Food Bank. They're doing it. They want to walk the walk, but they want that walk to be rewarded with listening. That's the only thing they want. They want you to listen to them. They want you to understand that they're not just a bunch of dumb kids. They might not have all of the adult pressures, and they might not know what the real world's all about yet. They know that something's coming their way, and they're not really happy with what they hear on the news, what they hear their parents or their grandparents talking about, the frustrations they have. They see their parents and their friends' parents struggling to survive. They feel the tension and stress, and they don't want to grow up into that. And so I think it's amazing. When we talk about listening to kids, we talk about helping kids, educating kids. The reason this kind of sparked, I think, is because I've always talked to my son and others as I've been running that the young people, they don't have like civics and social studies like we used to have, even my generation had, and it wasn't all that great then. I strongly believe, and why I'm so excited about this, because I've been preaching this throughout my entire campaign and prior, that there should be some sort of current affairs class that at least juniors and seniors are, I want to be careful with the terms required, things like that, because you know how we get into the muddiness of that. But they're going to be going out into the real world. We have Army recruiters, military recruiters coming in trying to sell them on this, but nobody's talking to them about their rights as a voter and the decisions that they're going to be faced with if they so choose. Some people can think of this as somewhat maybe of a conspiracy against educating people about the process. This is what we talk about, right? We talk about how they close the process out so people don't understand it so that they can control the outcome. And the kids are wising up to that. They want to know, they want you to know that their future is in your hands, and they want you to know they're watching you. And I think it's wonderful, because the earlier kids get involved in knowing what's really going on in the world, not what's going on in the media, not what their parents may be arguing about because of finances, which sometimes doesn't get into the root problem about what's happening in their household. They want to know, why is my dad struggling, or why is my mom having to work 2 jobs? That doesn't seem right. And then she's always stressed. She doesn't have time for me, and I feel neglected. You see, here's where I come in. I can still associate with myself in that level. I remember what I felt like as a youth. I remember the struggle I went through growing up. My mom, a single mother, manic depressive, bipolar, couldn't hold a job, always living from place to place, never really having a place to call home. And none of it was my fault. Today, our kids have a lot more to face. A lot more things are readily available. We have technology. They share information in a way, and so quickly. I mean, pornography, nudity, sex, drugs, it's all so right there to them now. And we have to be honest with our kids. That's why these kids respect me. It's honestly, truly why I know they respect me. Because I only get upset with them when they do something really stupid, which they do a lot of the times. But it's usually when they know it's wrong and they do it anyway. I don't get so upset about them when they make a mistake and they're like, oh, I didn't really know. Because they're young, they didn't know, they're learning. And they appreciate that. I don't judge them for those mistakes. But I always tell them, sorry's only good about once or twice. After that, it's a habit. And I repeat that to them, and I repeat it to them, because as a teenager, I was just like them. And they know that I recognize that. I'm not going to try to preach to them not to do something and pretend that I didn't do it. I'll tell them, I did it. I touched the fire. It was hot. Don't do it. Don't smoke. I did it. I smoked when I was 14. After fighting my best friend for months and months and months, telling him how stupid it was. I was 14, he was 17. Telling him, it's stupid, it's nasty, it's disgusting. And then, you hang around a butcher shop, or a barber shop, not a butcher shop. You hang around a barber shop long enough, and eventually you're going to get your hair cut. That's it. Now, I'm not proud of the fact that I didn't have any direction. Single mother, nobody really looking after me. So it's easy for kids to get wrapped up in that stuff. And I understand it. But when I find out that some of the young kids that I know are smoking, I call them on it. I tell them, don't do that. It's disgusting. Let's find another alternative. Anything. Not to mention it's so unhealthy for you. I know because I did it. I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm not telling you that it's a rite of passage and that you should, that every kid gets to do it. It's something that I wish I never would have done. But they do it anyway. But they still respect me for being honest and open with them about it. Something you guys might find very troublesome, maybe, some of you, in this time of the year, is that my son's 17 years old, not once in his life have I ever lied to him about the existence of Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, any of that. Because before my son was born, in anticipation of having a family someday, and having been through religion and the lies of holidays and realizing what the truth is, what history is, and realizing that it's all just fantasy made up. A lot of it is bargaining with your children. Do this, be good, or you're not, who's naughty or nice. And it's manipulation. As a psychology major and somebody who believes in psychology as a route to get to understanding more people. Not figuring out why they're messed up in that sense, but being able to understand where they're coming from. Well, anyway, I'm really good at it. I like people. I like observing human behavior. And believe me, that includes myself. I'm not perfect. I make the mistakes. But when people point them out at me, I'm quick to recognize, understand, and accept it. Because I can't keep saying this stuff about other people and then not living by it myself. However, when we look at what the kids are doing today, when we look at the passion that they have for this, we have to remember that for most of their life we've been lying to them, not me. Because as I said, I didn't lie to my kid. As a psychology major and somebody who understood that the first 5 years of development are like the most important, I promised myself I wasn't going to spend that time lying to my kid and then expect them to understand I want complete honesty from them from that point on. So we tell our children, this is true, even though it's not, for so many years. Then they start catching on, but through all of that we say, don't you lie to me. You better be honest with me. I personally think that that's the wrong way to go about it. Using the excuse, oh, it's for the kids, it's just a fantasy, it's all fun. It's a lie. That's my personal opinion. That's the way I chose to raise my kid. His mom, who was into holidays, she did holidays and I didn't. But anytime he came up to me and said anything about, did Dana bring me this, I didn't lie to him. I found a way to weasel out of it without actually lying to my son. And I think that's important. I think it's one of the things that we take for granted with our children, is that they're a lot smarter and a lot more in tune with what's going on around them than we give them credit for. So this is an exciting time. I'm just blown out of my mind by the initiative that they took on their own to do this, and then report to me and say, hey, look at what we've been doing so far. I really want to get you elected. And I'm like, what? You've been doing this? Dude, this is really kind of big. This is cool. And having been involved in some of our most recent activist things like the Cure, Communities United for Rochester Empowerment, dealing with the affordable housing issue, which actually had great success, and all of the hard work has paid off to a certain measure of getting this. I actually saw a release, and I haven't read it yet, but there was something on the news, the local news. We did good. Having that kind of success gives hope to organizations like this that want to move forward by doing works, getting out, showing the action, saying, this is why we're getting involved. And we're not just doing it for ourselves. We're not just asking that you do something for us. We're coming out first and foremost saying, I want to do something for you. Now, while we're here, can I talk to you about some stuff? You know, raking the leaves, shoveling something, getting it snowing, go shovel some walkways, and be able to have a conversation. And they have come back with some of these awesome stories about sitting with a woman who has shared all of these different things with them. And so they're being exposed to these opportunities with people and maybe brightening up their lives in more than just shoveling their walk, but giving them hope that they're so happy to see that our youth is not lost and selfish and all these things that people try to accuse them of. I'm sick of it. I've always felt that our new generation, the one after mine, unfortunately, we kind of got lost in Generation X, kind of got lost in a lot of ways. But I honestly feel that the millennials were our answer to social justice. They see things in a different way. And I consider myself a perennial. I continue to grow with the ages. So here's what we're going to be doing. These kids want to keep going. They want to work through their Christmas break so that in January we're hitting we're hitting it with full force. We've got meetings lined up. They need some money. They need supplies. We need stuff, okay? They want to do some T-shirts. They want to do flyers, prints. We have camera and equipment and stuff like that. But we need a domain name. We've got our Facebook page, Twitter account, and all that stuff. But we need some finances for getting the domain name. The business entity eventually paying for the filing fees for that. You have to pay for the LLC and all that stuff in order to make it legitimate, so that they can start taking things on themselves and being more independent. I'm not controlling this thing. I'm just facilitating it. I'm just guiding it and advising it at this point. Now, they're doing it on behalf of my campaign, which I fully appreciate and support at this point, especially because it is an initiative that I'm proud of. But I don't want to make this about me and my campaign, because it's about the kids and it's about this growing into something that's even bigger. The kids that are working on it that started this are in Rochester. The young individual that's not going to be old enough to vote, who's been on my campaign, is in another town in Mankato, and he's been itching to want to get something done. So one of the first things we think we're going to do is, when we get things compiled here in Rochester, we're going to go to his school, try to, and have a class, have a session, say what this is all about, get them fired up, get people signed up, get people moving, and let the kids start rolling with this and start writing their own rules and saying, really it's kind of simple. You're just going around, you pick a neighborhood, you start going around with supervision, of course, more than one, always, never anybody alone, and finding out if people in the neighborhood need help. And they may find that they don't necessarily need help, but they offer an opportunity for those people to help, to get involved. Maybe they've been waiting for an opportunity to get involved in something like these kids are involved in, and now they're able to knock on the door. So in order to do these things, we need money for travel expenses, hot cocoa, pizza, flyer, printer material, any kind of signage, banners, all the stuff that we need. Look, when we're talking about progressive grassroots campaigning for anything, whether it's an organization or a candidate, the money in and of itself, the primary purpose of any grassroots movement is the essentials, keeping the lights on. Print material, online purchasing for things like domain names so that you can have a website, things like that. Those are things that we would consider essentials. This isn't to be put in line in any pockets. The kids, they're not going to be getting rich off of this. They're doing this right now out of just a spark. So let's show them how much we actually care about what they care about and give them the support. So right now, like I said, we're working this through a subcommittee in our campaign. I can assure you that donations that are given are going to be used to put this pretty much full force from this point, because I would be stupid not to make this thing happen through my campaign, wouldn't I? An army of young kids going around that got energy to go help people and then want to share the message of the future and progressive, pretty much, because that's what we're sharing. Be attentive of your future. That's what progressivism is. Make sure that you don't just sit where you're at. Make sure you stand up if you see injustice, and where you see people that need help, you're stepping in. You see somebody on the side of the road, that agape love that says, just because I don't know this person doesn't mean I can't help this person. That's what these kids are feeling. That's what they're experiencing. They're doing it on their own. And now they're coming to someone like me for help to make it a bigger reality, because they believe in my campaign and I believe in what they're doing. So let's show them. I'm going to be running this fully through the rest of the year, because this encompasses everything that I intended to do with our campaign, which is the precinct organizing. Getting down to the smallest level of our segment of society that's easily kept track of, right? Because the smallest segment of society is our household. And we can keep track of households, but on a political basis, if we just narrow it down to precincts, then we could get a lot done. And so that's what I'm going to be working with them on how they can organize future neighbors into precinct areas where maybe they have those precincts organized in political type groups where they go around and people know each other. And those precincts can come together in their wards and meet people and go to other towns and cities where they're reaching out to the community. And here's the amazing thing. If my vision of precinct organizing, and it's not, I didn't make this up. It's already been theorized and in practice in many places, but then it's been pushed to the side. For instance, the DFL has this, the Democratic Party is supposed to have a precinct organizing strategy that they don't. They wait till the last minute. Now it's time to organize everything. There's no sustainability in it. And this is going to be sustained, okay? Because we're going to connect everything online through the website eventually. This isn't going to happen tomorrow, but we're going to connect everything to where these precincts and their representatives are going to have the ability to share their thoughts in real time with whoever it is that they're seeking to share those thoughts with. So if they're seeking to share it with their representative for the U.S. Congress, or if they're looking to share it with their local city council member, then wherever they're involved, they'll have a list of their representatives on every level and how they can get engaged with them. It's just going to be amazing. This is what we're moving forward in 2018. This is what's going to happen. I wasn't quite sure which demographic was going to catch the fire the strongest first. But this is a twofold thing for me, because it also addresses the education issue. Getting kids in education involved in their current affairs and figuring out what their next role is going to be in society, and helping make the decisions that are going to affect them when they graduate. So this one is twofold. We've got a lot of other wonderful things planned for 2018. This is just part of it. But I want to see some support come from the progressive movement out there for something that you guys are going to be calling me for, saying, how do we get this going where we're at? This is awesome. We want to do a chapter of Future Neighbors here in our town. You'll be amazed at the energy that comes out of these young people when they start taking their future in their own hands. When you start giving them a little bit of responsibility for what they're going to be doing with the rest of their life, they actually like it. And they actually excel at it. So I want us to start listening to our kids more, not just our own, but the youth in general. And let's help put this initiative together. This is only another focus of the progressive movement. These are not fractures. That's what I want people to understand. When people say the progressive movement is fractured, it is not. There are some people that are trying to be a part of the progressive movement who are not. But that doesn't mean that the movement, in and of itself is fractured. There are different focuses of the movement, not fractures. Fight for 15, Move to Amend, Represent Us, Our Revolution, DSA, Socialist Alternative. Those are focuses of the movement, but they all consist of the same overall banner of human rights, social justice, equal justice under law, electoral reform, all those things that matter to our future. So this is just one more tip of the spear, if you will, into the establishment. I mean, we got nurses going after the establishment. You can't mess with nurses. How can you mess with a nurse? It's like one of the most noble professions. You know, we've got the disabled in wheelchairs going up against the establishment, and somehow they actually remove them and make fools of themselves by dragging these poor disabled people out of their protest. And now we've got a demographic of people, young people, who can't legally let their voice be heard through a vote, but are now coming together and banding together as a huge lobby group for the things that they want. You've got to be proud of that, and you've got to be able to support that. So I'm going to end this video now. There's going to be many more coming down the road this weekend and throughout the course of the rest of the year. I'm going to be pulling these guys in. We've got other video equipment coming in. We're going to be setting up for live streaming so that they can do their events. They want to do events. They want to have video footage of them going door to door. And I want to see them do it. The fact that they're helping my campaign is wonderful, but I want this to be so much more for them, because there's other candidates too that I want them to be able to help as well. There's gubernatorial candidates that they need to get introduced to. There are their local state and local candidates that they can have even more power over, that I want them to get introduced to. So help us make this a reality. We've already got the Twitter account. You can look at it here in this feed. You can get to johnnyprogress.com. That's the easiest way to remember how to get to my website. And you can go to donate to support the movement. And find us on social media. We need to get that website up. Remember, I'm a web marketing consultant and developer. I'm a little tight on funds here. I don't have any money in my online accounts to be paying for a domain name and getting the hosting put up, and we should have a domain name. a .com, .org, whatever, so that these kids can start working on their own website and start putting up their own material. So let's let this happen. Help us make this happen. We've raised money in a very short period of time. By the end of this year, I want to see $2,500 in the coffer for this initiative, so that come 2018, when we as a campaign make another announcement about restructuring our membership roles, this will be a part of that restructuring as a subcommittee, including these youths in the vote process in our committee. We also have another major announcement that we'll be making. Let's make this, let's show people that they're messing with the wrong people when they're messing with progressives. You know what I'm saying? Because we can really, let's just put it this way. I'm so sick of hearing about how much money it takes to run for office when I ain't got none, and it doesn't matter. We need a little bit. We need to get these supplies, but we don't need what these other people, and I'm proving it. We are proving it. These kids are going door to door. They've got 25 signatures of I don't know what yet. We haven't had a chance to meet, but they've got emails and phone numbers and addresses, these people that they're helping and talking to. And they're going to turn this into something big. They're already planning to move forward. Go volunteer at ABC. Go to other schools and talk about the initiative, and start a YouTube channel, and all of this stuff. So I want to see the progressive movement put faith in its children, and let's see something like this grow. And if you're somebody listening who wants to already get started in your area, then let me know. We'll start doing it together, okay? Because we're just kind of building on this as we go. You're invited to the process. Say, what is it they're doing? How can we do it? And the name is really nice, isn't it? Future Neighbors. Think about all the branding possibilities with that. They come up, they got their Future Neighbors shirts on. Who are you? We're your future neighbors. What do you mean? Well, one day we're going to be buying a home, we're going to be renting a house, whatever, and we're going to be your neighbors, and we want to know what kind of neighbors we live by. We want to know if you could use any help right now. We want to get this relationship kick-started. Neighbors helping neighbors. Future neighbors. Isn't that awesome? You guys just don't even understand how utterly pumped I am, because this is why I do this. I don't have anything right now. You guys know I lost my job in February because I couldn't keep working for a landlord who was breaking the law. I couldn't knowingly keep doing that. So I had to make a choice. Either I was going to keep running for Congress as an honest progressive and confront this individual and take my chances, either losing my job or forcing him to start pulling permits. We saw how that turned out. Or I was just going to keep my job. Take my chances that somewhere in September or October, somebody was going to dig up that I'm working for this Yahoo, knowingly breaking the law. Yeah, that's not me. First of all, it's just not me. I don't work for people. The reason I'm not rich in my own companies is because I know the manipulativeness of the online marketing world. I know the lies that it takes to become rich in most cases. Most of the people that sell these big start your online business stuff leave out key information about the investment that it takes. And I can't do that to people. The reality is a business is a business is a business. It doesn't matter if it's online or not. It's difficult, and there is an inverse connection between capital and time, just like supply and demand. If you don't have the capital, you have to spend more time getting known, getting your reputation built, getting your message out. If you got the capital, it's not manipulative to use that capital to buy marketing just to share your message. But the reality is, if you don't have the capital to buy a Facebook ad, to be able to share a video like this. Then you don't have the capital and you have to spend more time. You have to do a video and share it and then share it with friends and have other friends share it and eventually catch on until you have a viewership or a following of enough people. That's just capitalism. The people who have the capital succeed. The people who don't. They do, but it takes a lot more time. Or it takes that lucky draw. You know, you invent something that is just, why didn't I think of that, right? Not everybody is that lucky. There's not that many products that are, why didn't I think of that, worthy. So I would much rather sit here, having faced eviction twice recently, with no money coming in for the candidacy because people are tainted from giving to candidates or campaigns or political organizations, and struggle through what I need to struggle through and bear in with this day after day in order to see initiatives like this, Future Neighbors, realized. Because that's what this is about. It's not about a single dime that anybody out there can send me. It has nothing to do with that. That is only an evil necessity in order to get through. That's all it is. If we could, well, we don't have to if we. Let me just put it this way. This campaign will succeed on the very barest it has to, without wasting money on useless and needless media and other things like that. Consultants to come in and give somebody $60,000 to tell you to go knock on doors and talk to people like these kids are doing. They didn't hire a $60,000 a year consultant to tell them what grassroots was. So let's start getting into our wallets a little bit with each other and realizing that a $5 a month sustained donation to something you believe in is not a whole lot. And for a candidate like myself or other candidates that may be in your region, because I got a lot of followers here on the national network of the progressive movement, just remember that $5 a month from 1,000 people in a congressional race could be all it takes for a person running for Congress to keep their message rotating. That's it. All we really need is to be able to buy some literature, some decent print literature, print it up ourselves, whatever we need to do in order for people who are knocking on doors to have something to hand out. Be able to buy a little pizza for people that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into our movement and not asking for anything in return. Gas money is probably the biggest thing, depending on the districts that that you're around. Our district stretches 4 hours across. Some districts stretch 20 minutes across. They're that condensed and populated. So take those things into consideration. Some of these candidates aren't asking for you to write them a blank check. They're just saying, hey, listen, if 1,000 people a month gave me $5 each, we could cover a lot of costs that it takes to get the message out. That's it. If you believe in the candidate, you believe in the message, all you want to do is get the message out. And now with social media, marketing, things like that, I mean, it doesn't cost that much to have a Facebook ad. And no, this isn't Russiagate. To be able to target a small demographic of an area with a video like this, so only they see it, so you're not wasting your money on clicks for people around the United States to see something that you're only wanting to show to your constituency in order to get them to understand where you're coming from. See? Yeah, ads and things like that can be manipulated. They can be used for wrong things, just like the atom bomb. It was supposed to be used for energy, not for blowing people up. Well, not the bomb part, but the philosophy or the science behind atomic explosions was to help us with energy, not to go blow people up. But of course, humans always look for the dark way. How can we profit from it? How can we hurt others? Well, let's not let this happen. We've got great candidates out there that are busting their humps, living from nothing to nothing, and doing it all in the name of this movement. I'm not going to deny there's going to be benefit out of this for me. Of course there is. But that's not the reason I'm doing it. I could drop out of this today, go get a job for $20 an hour and start paying my bills again. But then I drop out of this. And I'm the only trustworthy candidate to take forward the initiatives that we need to see our future change for the better. I've heard the other candidates in my race. I don't trust them to do that. It's not that they aren't trustworthy people. They just may not have the desire or the knowledge to take it to that extreme, to say, hey, listen, enough is enough. Me Too, gotta stop. Enough is enough. Political corruption, enough is enough. It's gotta stop. These people in office that will not leave, it's time for us to reveal and replace them with people who are going to do the job that they're sent there to do. We can do this when we come together. We've proven it with coming together for short little weekend pushes for Sima Hernandez to get her on the ballot. How proud are we of that? That is like, we didn't have nothing. We didn't have no email list. All we had was each other on Twitter mainly, and Facebook and some YouTube shots, and we pulled it out, man. A bunch of nobodies that's getting ignored by one organization over here and being talked about by other people over here, dismissed, and we pulled it out. Why? Because we have the truth behind us. We have the power of the progressive movement behind us, and even if we're not, say for instance, I'm running as a Democrat, right? Which I am. I cannot get the support of the Movement for a People's Party because under their guidelines, they made a clean cut with the Democratic Party, which I respect. So as long as I'm running as a Democrat, I can't get their official support. But you know what? I know I have their support because they know that they have my support, that I support opening this process up to more voices, that I want to see that party created, regardless of how well the Democrats do. Maybe the Democrats bounce back. Maybe the Democrats wake up and they gain the trust of people. I still want to see another party out. I still want to see the Green Party succeed. I want to see a proportional government representing more voices so more people's needs are met. However that comes about, I don't have all the answers and details, but I know that it's in practice, and I know we're not doing it. I know that narrowing the vote selection process down to, winnowing it down to just a few people to select who everybody gets to choose in November is wrong. And we're going to have to put an end to that too. We cannot keep maintaining the same system and expect people to keep trusting us. It's just that impossible. So we're going to move this initiative forward. I encourage everybody and anybody who is impressed by this to go ahead and get in contact with me, and we'll help you get going with your own. But in the meantime, help us get this solidified here so we can take it to other places, so we can show people the strength that it has.